This was in the war zone between Iran and Iraq over near the city of Abadan.
Same side, same sweat.
Same teeth. That's good.
That's good.
That's exactly right. Let's see, 28 years ago. Yeah. So I was younger then. While in Iran and Tehran specifically, on my third trip, I wanted to move outside of just being in press conferences and following some of the hard news events, and made a request to see if I could go inside a girls' middle school. So that request was granted through the Foreign Press Office, and here is a representation of the middle school that I visited during the lunch hour, during the recess, during the noon prayer, and during the classroom instruction. So at the end of my 2 hours in this particular school, the girls who had congregated for me to take a picture of them decided that they wanted a picture of me. And here is this old Kodak 110 camera, and they're taking a photograph of me. And what I like about this one is it seems very, it just represents, I mean, it's almost like a timeless image, because some of these girls, though it was 1983, look as though they could have been in Eastern Europe in the 40s or the 50s or the 60s, and you know, they just have this connection to me, which evolved over the time that I was working in photography. So it's very special, and I hold it very dear.
سيدي ربي العالي ليك شكايا سيدي ربي العالي وانت مولاي لما نشكي العالي وانت مولاي لولا حكمك نرد.
Well, I took 3 trips to Iran. First in 1980, again in 1981, and the last one was long ago in 1983. I've not returned to the country since then, though it is my hope that one day I'd be able to update this collection. In 1980, the reason for my trip was to accompany a delegation of Americans who were going to meet with the Iranian students who were holding 52 Americans in the embassy, the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, which had been taken over on November 4th of 1979. As you can imagine, as a young 24-year-old aspiring photojournalist, it was a most exciting opportunity to be in the center of this international crisis and to try to negotiate an understanding between the Americans and the Iranians, which would perhaps lead to better relations and perhaps even ultimately the release of the hostages. And these photographs are my effort to try to bridge that cultural misunderstanding between the two people. I mean, obviously this is only a part of the story, just a little bit of the story, but I think a story that can help us understand. I went to Iran again in 1981, this time doing broadcast video work for CBS TV News, while also shooting still photographs for Galería's own photo news agency. My third trip to Iran was in 1983. This time I was working for Time magazine, photographing everything in the country from the Iran-Iraq war zone to the Friday prayer service to an exclusive opportunity to photograph Ayatollah Khomeini. When a request to photograph or to interview Ayatollah Khomeini was made, we didn't receive any immediate response, but then very unexpectedly one day we received a call from the foreign press office notifying us that we needed to take our equipment up to the mosque adjacent to Khomeini's home, where it would first be searched, as was all of the photographic equipment that was presented in any of the government or religious sessions. So I was also told that I had to find a chador in order to photograph. And I must admit that it's very difficult to photograph with two cameras when you have a chador, because when you wear a chador, you have to wrap it around your body, hold one end under your arm, hold a piece of it in your mouth to close the front, and then find a way to maneuver your hands so that you can get the lens that you can get the viewfinder to your eye. Defiant. In what sense do you see that?
Well, just very, very strong-willed.
Yes. But what I like also is these men up here who are doing what I think we are doing in our minds, which is like having this combination of admiring it, questioning why he's doing that, and at the same time just laughing at it because it's a little bit over the top, wouldn't you say? But anyway, I would really like to. I mean, my goal would be to go back and try to find the two of them and see. That would be that story that we were just talking about. That you'd see this span of time and try to understand what it meant. You know. So.